Case studies present a fantastic way to show what you do, who you work with, and showcase the amazing success stories you have with your clients. But they can be hard work to create and difficult for your audience to access and engage with if you only publish them on your website or as a PDF. So keep listening to learn how to boost the reach of your case studies and get more eyes on your success stories. You're listening to the Content 10x podcast, where it's all about content repurposing. I'm Amy Woods, and I'm here to help you maximize your content and find smart ways to get your message in front of more of the right people, whilst also saving time. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Content 10x podcast. I'm your host, Amy Woods, the founder of specialist content repurposing agency Content 10x, and in this episode I'm going to share how you can get more value out of your client case studies through the power of content repurposing. So by the end of this episode, you'll have learned how to repurpose text-only case studies for different platforms, including social media. You'll learn 6 creative ways to repurpose your client case studies, plus some extra bonus tips and tricks to make your case study content go further. So let's jump in. Now, if you follow Content 10x on social media, or if you subscribe to the Content 10x Insider, which is our weekly newsletter, you might already know that so far this year, we've published 2 brand new client case studies. One on our client TechSmith, the global leader in screen recording software, and one with Peace of Mind Wealth Management, a wealth managed company, both of them based in the US. Now, I'll drop links to both of these in the show notes so you can check them out, but they're also really easy to find from our homepage, so head to content10x.com and you'll see them right there on the top menu bar. So I've always believed in the power and value of case studies, and it's something I always ask to see whenever I'm looking at potential suppliers to work with. It's one thing to tell people what you do and explain processes and outputs and maybe share some testimonials and social proof, but a case study is so much more, because you're sharing a story, and people remember stories, and stories can help convey information in ways that content can't. There's a saying that I really love, which is facts tell and stories sell. So it was really important to me personally, and for Content 10x as a business, to start producing our own client case studies, and there's going to be many more of them to come throughout the course of this year. But we also know that case studies are a lot of work to produce. They involve interviews with your clients, then there's copywriting and graphic design, and that's even before you get to the publishing stage. So with all that in mind, it just didn't make sense to me to start creating case studies if we couldn't get more out of them. Because you know what I always say, which is create content with repurposing in mind. And also another saying of mine, repurposing starts at the planning phase. So both of them are catchphrases of mine that I really do live by. So when it came to creating case studies, we knew that having a PDF to send to people and also a page on our website would be a brilliant place to start. But that's not exactly squeezing all the possible value out of the content. After all, speaking to clients can give you some incredibly rich content. So we drew up a repurposing plan that involved lots of creative ways to maximize these case studies, get the content onto multiple platforms, and break the case studies out of their limited formats as well, so change up the format. So I'm going to share with you 6 of the different ways that we repurposed our case studies once they were written and published both on our website, and we had a PDF version too. So actually having a web page that was also a PDF is repurposing right there. But these are the ways we took the repurposing even further. Hopefully these ideas will give you some inspiration for how you can repurpose your client case studies, and I'll give you plenty of repurposing tips along the way too. So here we go, number 1. This is my top recommendation for repurposing your client case studies. Repurpose the content into a case study video. Your case study is a fantastic success story of how you've worked with a client to produce an amazing outcome, and video is one of the best, if not the best, medium for storytelling and really connecting with your audience at the same time. Plus, repurposing your case study into a video is going to give you a lot more repurposing versatility and potential for sharing this content on multiple platforms. When I say video, what I mean is actually getting on camera and explaining your case study story as if you were talking directly to your ideal client on a sales call. So it can be a sales video. So imagine you're explaining the story to them in your own words. To do this, you'll want to introduce your client and then just have a few bullet points covering the challenge, the solution, and the results that you can elaborate on naturally. A case study video should of course be a professional and polished video, but that doesn't mean your speaking or story needs to be super stiff and rehearsed, because even with B2B marketing, we are all still just talking to people. You can work with a video editor to jazz it up and add logos, graphics, etc., and then you can get it published on your website. I actually suggest embedding it onto your existing case study page if you have one for better SEO and user experience. You also might want to give the video its own landing page on your site, which you could direct social ads to in the long run. And of course, you can get it published on YouTube too. So if you've gone to the effort to create a great case study video and you have a YouTube channel, then of course you want the video on there. So that's my first recommendation: repurpose your case study into a video and give your story a storyteller. Number 2 is Instagram and LinkedIn carousels. So speaking of storytelling, one of the best ways to tell an interactive story on Instagram and LinkedIn is to use the image carousel feature. Because case studies are effectively stories, it's really easy to repurpose them into this graphic format. But I do suggest that maybe you get a designer to help you with this to make your carousel look really, really good. The key to repurposing your case studies into a social media friendly carousel is to make sure you only share the key points of the story. It should be enough content that your audience can follow along the sequence of events without bombarding them with text. So images on social media should be text light. So I recommend giving the stripped down version of the story and following with a call to action to check out the case study in full on your website. I've spoken about repurposing content into these formats previously, so if you want to learn more about repurposing into carousel posts for Instagram, then check out episode 139, 4 ways to repurpose content into an Instagram carousel. That's at content10x.com/139. And if LinkedIn is more your thing, then head to episode 160, why LinkedIn carousels are perfect for repurposing. That's content10x.com/160, and I'll put the links to both in the show notes so you can listen or read the write-ups of those after this episode. Hey, just a little break from this week's episode to let you know about becoming a Content 10x Insider. If you want more content repurposing tips and advice, then why not join hundreds of business owners, marketers and content creators who get them delivered straight to their inbox once a week by subscribing to the Content 10x newsletter. As well as tips and advice, you get industry updates, inspiring stories, exclusive content, offers and more. You can subscribe at content10x.com/newsletter, and there's a link in the show notes too. Okay, back to this week's episode. So that's number 2, repurpose your case study into shareable, engaging social media carousels. Number 3 involves going back to your source material, your case study interview with your client, and repurposing quotes directly from them into testimonials. So that's number 3, testimonials. With something like this, if you're directly attributing a quote to something your client said, you might want to get them to sign off on what you share, but hopefully you'll have done that when you publish the case study in the first place, so it should be fine. It's worth doing this because client quotes carry a lot of weight. They make your work really credible and are just perfect for repurposing. And you can use these quotes or testimonials across your website and in documents like if you have a sales deck or a credentials pack, and even repurpose them into social media graphics for sharing more social proof. And if you're planning to share the testimonial images on social media, you could add a link back to the full case study or even the service or product that your client is talking about. There's a lot of potential here and you can reshare them over and over again. Same with the carousel images I mentioned previously. Just remember to keep the content as evergreen and timeless as you can. So that's number 3, repurpose your case study quotes into shareable testimonials. Now, I briefly mentioned the next type of content already, but how about repurposing your case study into a slide for your credentials pack or your sales deck? Now, depending on your business, you may or may not have this kind of content. But for example, at Content 10X as an agency, it's really normal in agency world to have a slide deck that you can send to potential clients and other agencies and businesses that you can form relationships and partnerships with. Usually it's called a credential pack, or you might have a sales presentation, or maybe a pitch deck or a proposal template that you could use in the sales process. I've seen case studies condensed into content within all of these examples that I just mentioned. So really here we're talking about direct pieces of content that you use to turn leads into clients. Repurposing your case study into a 1-page or 1-slide piece of content right at the bottom of the marketing and sales funnel could be the one thing that a lead needs to see to say yes. My advice for repurposing your case study in this way is to ensure that you're clearly communicating the key points in a way that your lead can relate to. Include information about the client and what their challenge is and how you help them. These are all things that your potential client wants to know ahead of working with you. I know this because they're the things that I want to know before I work with a new partner. And this can just be a brilliant conversation starter for your discovery call too, as you can elaborate on the case study more. So that's number 4, repurpose your case study into a single slide for your credentials pack or sales deck or whatever piece of content that you use to help convert those leads into clients. Now, I've covered a lot of bottom of funnel content and some top of the funnel with the social media content, but what about repurposing your case studies into some of the middle of funnel content as well? So I'm talking about blog posts. This is suggestion number 5, repurpose your case study into blog posts. To do this, I suggest looking at key themes explored in your case study and expanding on them at a higher level. For example, in our TechSmith case study, we shared the story of how TechSmith worked with us to repurpose their live stream content and how in doing so we optimized their content time and expertise. Then we created several blog posts and podcast episodes all about live stream repurposing. We looked at how best to create and repurpose live stream videos, the good, the bad and the ugly ways to do it, and why you should repurpose your live stream videos. Blog posts are brilliant for SEO, but case studies often aren't. So think about how you can engineer your case studies into your blog posts that capture search traffic with better keyword targeting. Then you can use links back to your full case study. This is a great way to bring search traffic into your funnel and introduce people who maybe have never heard of your business before to exactly what you do and how you do it. Okay, so that's number 5, repurpose your case studies into blog posts. And finally, we have number 6. This is for those of you who, like me, do virtual or in-person public speaking. Repurpose your case studies into content for your talks. This is something that I often do, so I will be able to weave into my talks some examples of case studies and shine a light on the fantastic work that we do with our clients. It's a brilliant way to get the awesome case study content out there in a brand new medium. It gives you something interesting to talk about and relatable to talk about when you are delivering talks. And guess what? If you get your talk recorded on video, your virtual talk or an in-person talk that's recorded on video, then you have more amazing content to repurpose. So those are just 6 ways to repurpose your client case studies. Let me recap. Number 1, a video, a sales video or case study video. Number 2, Instagram and LinkedIn carousels. Number 3, shareable testimonials. Number 4, sales content in your credentials packs and sales packs and proposals. Number 5, blog posts. And number 6, content for an in-person or virtual talk. If you want to see how we repurpose our case studies, then do check out our social media channels. We're at Content 10x on all the platforms, and do remember to like and follow us as well, please. That would be fantastic. And also head to our website to see them in action, where of course you can learn more about our content repurposing services too. So if you want help with your content repurposing, Content 10x is a fully done for you content repurposing agency. So do go check us out if you have video or audio content that you'd like help with maximizing to its full potential. If you found this episode useful, then please do let me know. Get in touch with me on social media, and I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a rating and a review on the podcast app that you love to listen to your podcasts. All that's left to say now is thank you so much for listening to this week's episode, and I will catch you in the next one.